So the assignment is this: create a function. You can call it get occurrence. It receives two arguments. One is allowed to be a list, while the second, like a list of integers, while the second is expected to be an integer. Then it's going to count the number of times that that integer occurred in that list. So let's say we call on the function like this. I'll pass a list 1, 1, 1, 1, 4, 6, anything. This is the first argument, while this is the second argument. 1. Count the number of times that this one occurs inside this list. Now, the first argument here, you can call this my list or anything. You can just call it anything. While the second argument here, you can call it my int. So when we call on this function, this list, this here becomes the value of my list, and this one becomes the value of my int. Do we understand? Remember I said the first goes to the first, the second goes to the second. This is called positional arguments. So with that now, if I want to look through the list, how do I do that?
List the what?
If I want to look to the, you said?
If you want to go to list.
If I want to look to, yes, each value in the list.
Yeah, for editing my list.
Okay. Right. You know, if I say print var, it's going to print 11116, right? Yeah. So let's first do that. Print var. Run this. Python. We have this. Now, next is let's count the number of times that one occurred inside this list. I can create a variable called occurrence. It can start as 0. That is, at the beginning there is it hasn't occurred. Next is we can now say, we are looking for 1. I can say if var is equal to 1, because we are looking for 1, then increase the number of occurrence, increase this, add 1 to this. Do we understand? If var is equal to 1, then add 1 to this occurrence. Occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Do we understand this? So let's say we are searching for 6, for instance. We can say if var is equal to 6, occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. So the only time where var is 6 is when it gets to the end, right? So at the end of the day, when we print out the value of occurrence, you will only see 1. Any questions so far? Mr. Okoyemi, Mr. Chinazum, Mrs. Adeoye.
I actually tried something like this, but it was not working.
Okay,
I tried it.
Okay.
It was
I
error.
tried it was still not working.
Okay.
I was just like, maybe we have to count.
Okay, alright, let's if var is 6, it's going to add 1 to, but let's now print the value of occurrence. We can say print occurrence. That this is outside the loop now. When it's done with this whole loop, everything inside this loop, then it will run this line. It will say occurrence 1, right? Meaning that 6 occur only once. But let's say we are looking for 1. Occurrence is going to be 4. But we're not yet done. Now, this is we manually saying that search for 1. But we don't want to say you should manually search for one. Search for whatever the value of this is. And remember I said the other time that this one is the value of this my int. So we can say if var is equal to my int, then print occurrence. Let's go over it together again. When I call on this function, this list will be sent as the value of my list. This one will be sent as the value of 1. Occurrence starts as 0. For var in my list, var will first be the first item here. Var will first be 1. That is 1 is equal to my int. My int is this one here. Is 1 equals to 1? Yes. Because this condition is true, it will enter this if statement and it's going to do this line. Occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Remember I said you can shorten this by saying plus equals 1. So occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Occurrence becomes 1. When it is done, it comes back here again. Var becomes the second item, which is 1. If var equals to my int, that is 1 is equal to, remember my int is 1. 1 is equal to 1, yes. Occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Occurrence becomes 1 plus 1, which is 2. So occurrence becomes 2. When it's done, it comes back here again. Var becomes the next item, which is this one. If var equals to my int, remember my int is this one. Is 1 equals to 1? Yes. Occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Occurrence becomes 3. When it's done, it comes back here. Var becomes the next item here, which is this one. Then, if var equals to my int is 1. Is 1 equals to 1? Yes. Occurrence equals to occurrence plus 1. Occurrence equals to 3 plus 1. It becomes 4. Then, it comes back here again. Var becomes the next item here, which is 6. If var equals to my int, is 6 equals to my int is 1. Is 6 equals to 1? No. That means it's not going to enter this if statement. And because we've gotten to the end of the loop now, it will print out the value of occurrence. Remember, this print is not within this loop. I explained to us that the indentation is one that helps us to place it inside the loop. So when it's done with the old stuff, you can make, maybe for the sake of readability, you can put a little space here. So when it's done with this old loop, then it will print out this occurrence, which is, in this case, it will be 4. So when we run it now, we see 4. Any questions so far?
Please, I don't want to get the concept of that's my int.
Okay.
I think I missed it.
Okay.
You know, you have my list and my int. Why my int?
Okay. Remember, when I gave us the task, I said we're going to, whenever we call on the function, we pass 2 values to it, right? So let's say if I pass 2 values here, this is one value. A list is a single value, so this becomes the value of my list. Then, what about, what I mean is this. Okay, let's do it this way, I think. Let's do it this way. Remember I said we were to do something like this. This here becomes the value of this my list, but this one will not be sent here. We will not be able to receive it, and we need it also within this function. I mean,
The error Python was giving me because it was telling me that, let me read that, only expected an indented block after 4 statements in line 3. It was telling me that I was choosing 2 values, but I gave only 1. There was one English was telling me I should have known.
okay. if you pass 2 here, you must use 2 to receive it here. For instance, if I come here and say 4,6, I'm sending 2 values here. I must receive it with 2 values here also, maybe with a comma b. This must also be 2. If you are sending 2 values, you must receive it with 2 values. So also, if you are sending 2 values here like this is a list which is 1 value. This is an integer which is another value. Then this must also be 2 values so that we'll be able to receive it. If it fails to pass the second value, it will throw that error. Takes 1 position argument, but 2 were given. This is the error message you saw, right?
Exactly, that's the error message, yeah.
Okay. Alright. So when we send 2 values, we must also receive 2 values, not 1. So this, we can now use my hints to get the second one. Then we save the number of occurrences inside this. So once it sees the value and it sees that is the value of it will increase the number of the value of occurrence. Do we understand this explanation?
Yes, sir.
Alright.
I think my own mistake, I was creating another function for my hints and it was giving me error. That's the challenge. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Alright. Let's look at another approach. We can use an inbuilt function. And the inbuilt function will make our work faster. Right? Oh, we are not yet done. We are not yet done before we do that. When we are done, return this value. Return. Remember I told you that when it's time to test, return will make it easy to test and all of that. So return occurrence. Instead of saying print occurrence, we just say return occurrence. So let's print out this line. Print. So this should print out 4 points. Get occurrence. Well, let's put some other values. What if it doesn't even occur there? 3. Then we can say search for 6. So in this case, this list will be my list. 6 will be my int. Then occurrence will be 0. Var will first be 3. Is var equals to my int? Sorry. Var will first be 3. Is var. Sorry, please. Can we hear me?
Yeah.
Alright. So this list becomes the value of my list. 6 becomes the value of my int. Occurrence will be 0. Var will first be the first value here, which is 3. Is var equals to my int? My int will be 6. Is 3 equals to 6? Yes. No. 3 is not equals to 6, so it's not going to enter this place. It won't. Var becomes the next value, which is 5. Is 5 equals to my int? Is 5 equals to 6? No. It won't enter the list. It comes back here again. 5 becomes the next value, which is 7. Is 5 equals to... sorry, 7 equals to 6. What's wrong with me? Is 7 equals to 6? No. The var becomes the next value, which is 8. Is 8 equals to my int, which is 6? No. So, at the end of the day, we will never run this line. This line will not. So, meaning that occurrence will remain 0. So, when we say return occurrence, it will return 0. That's why we have this. But let's look at another solution. Hope you understand.
Sorry. So just this one now, what I've noticed now is, for this code to be able to run, that means your val in your list must be the first number, and that must be the int.
I don't get it, man.
You know, what I'm trying to say is, for this code to run successfully now,
Okay.
for you to be able to get the number of occurrences,
Yes.
that means the first number has to be in your list, has to be your int, my int.
The first number in my list.
You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, we're able to get the first number in line 11 now, print occurrence 1, and we're able to know that 1 has 4 values.
Okay.
So what if that 1, like you did in the second one now, 6 is not in the list at all? That's why it's not running.
It's running.
So for to run successfully, that means the integer is running.
It's
And
running.
0,
It's
it's not there.
Yes. It's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for the code to run successfully, that means that our value is saying that line 3 now is saying for val in my list.
Okay.
That means that value, if val is equal to my integer, which is the second value,
Yes.
you understand what I'm saying? So that means for the code to be correct, you must consider all those things.
Yes. For you to increase the value of occurrence, this condition must be true. Now, this is also correct. This line is working fine because it's doing what we want. The thing is, we want to count the number of times that 6 occurred inside this list. And since 6 is not there and it gave us 0, that means it's working well. Do you get it, man?
Yeah, I do know.
Alright. So here it's telling us 1 occurred 4 times and 6 occurred 0 times, and that's fine too. That's what we want. If this had given us 1, that would have been a bug because 6 does not occur inside this list. Let's say we put 5 here. Count the number of times that 5 occurred inside this list. 5 only occurred once, just once. So this is expected to give us 1, the second one. So expected to give us just 1. And that's why we have this 1. That means it's working fine. If you have another 5, this should give us 2. It's fine. It's working fine. Please, do we understand it?
Yes, I do.
Okay, alright. So let's look at another approach again that we can use. We can say occurrence equals to, we can now say my list, which is my list, which is this list, or this list as the case may be, dot count my int. That is, count the number of times that my int occurs inside my list. Do we get it? Count the number of times that my int occurred inside my list and save it as variable occurrence. Then return occurrence.
Wow.
Hey God. So why is my own not working? Maybe I was counting. Let me check.
You know, can't do well now.
Oh, I know why my own did not work. It was just one simple thing because I don't have to vary two values in
Yeah.
my function.
Sure.
Getting now.
I can just say,
The thing don't touch me.
okay. So we can have this, return this, count the number of times that my hint occurred inside my list and return it. So it's, but like I said, at this stage I won't advise that you use inbuilt functions like this, because you using the for loop makes you understand for loop more. Then I said something in one of our classes. I said most time when you are doing projects, you will need inbuilt functions like this to make your work faster and all of that. But while you are still learning, I want us to get used to loop, if statement, functions, variables. When you know those four stuffs, loop, if statement, functions, variable, get your hands on them very well. Try them outside of using inbuilt function, because not all languages, not all programming languages, we have a function like this. And if the language does not have that, what will you do? So that's why we advise that you still use the initial approach. Then when you're now good with it, later you can now start using this for your work. You can now start using this. Any questions so far? Okay, this is what you're going to do. I'll give us another assignment. I'll send it to our group. Please try your hands on that one. So based on this, try your hands on that, and let's see how it goes. Thanks for coming.